The Odyssey Neo G957. It's rather large. So let's get it unboxed, hey? Now I am using a knife, but I am pointing it the other way. Let's see if there's a box inside the box. We got ourselves the feet, and they look quite nice. Very wide, obviously, for the sake of a 57-inch monitor. That's massive. Maybe we can get a measuring tape out here. There we go. End to end on this one, you got yourself 800 millimeters, and then sort of from the front to the back, you got about 450 mils. So you're gonna need a pretty massive desk to accommodate this screen. We've got ourselves some instructions and cables. So we've got a USB hub cable. We've got the power cable right here. It's bent 90 degrees, which hopefully is helpful. We have a provided display port cable, very, very short. We can't use this anyway because no graphics card right now, apart from the AMD 7800, has a DP 2.0, so it's kind of pointless. And lastly, the HDMI cable, which will be the one we use because most of the graphics cards do support HDMI 2.1, and that's when you can get the most out of this. However, we are still not quite sure if it supports the full resolution at 240 Hertz. At the moment, it is limited to 220, but there's been rumors that it'll actually work when NVIDIA updates some drivers and firmware updates from Samsung. We have our little bit at the back to cover the lights once you've set everything up, just to make it look nice. We've got our cover. I still have the G9, and I really don't like this plastic cover. I think it's terrible. All the clips have broken off by now, and I wish they made this in maybe tougher plastic or maybe some sort of different mechanism here to mount them. This is pretty poor quality, I think, especially for a monitor that's 3,200 Australian dollars. But if you got the pre-order bonus, it comes down to 2,850. And this is the most important part, the mount for the VESA mounts. We can put this on the the Ergotron, but apparently this is still too heavy, so we'll have to play around it and probably prop it up somehow, but there's just no way I'm gonna use the stand. I just don't want to. And this is the stand, and it's very, very beefy. We've got the mounts here at the top and a little clip here to take off, and then you can route your cables and hold them through at the back. All right, let's see about getting this monitor out. Let's see if we can just get the mount on the back here, like so. That'll probably be where we start, and then we're gonna move it onto the table. The screws to mount the VESA adapter to the monitor come stickied to this actual mount here. So you're gonna have to take it off and put it in there. Okay, the previous G9 is gone. We now can put the G957 on here. Let's try that. I think the desk is big enough. We've got these thumb screws, which are bloody frustrating. So yes, they're only thumb screws. They're not great. They came with the Ergotron, and we've got all the cables right here ready to go. So let's do this. Okay, it's not as heavy as I thought. I thought it would be a little bit heavier, but that's not too bad. Wow, that's incredibly huge. That spans the entire desk. Holy crap. Wow, and that curve is incredible. All right, folks, it's mounted, but the Ergotron cannot hold it up, which is absolutely fair because it's stupidly heavy. But as you can see, it'll droop down ever so slowly. And unfortunately, there's not much you can do about it. So it's time to do some modifications to this arm. I will have to end up buying a proper Ergotron mount to do this, but for now, I just want to start using this monitor. There you have it, folks. The monitor of everyone's dreams. It's massive. All right, folks, let me give you my first impressions. This monitor is huge. It's large. 57 inches is quite large, especially with ultra wide there. It is very, very beautiful. The contrast is fantastic. It's almost OLED. Why I say that? Well, because it is mini LED. It does have some blooming in certain areas and not all content takes advantage of this, but during gameplay sessions or just on the desktop, it's awesome. Secondly, it can do up to 240 Hertz. Of course, we can't do that right now, and I want to get into that in a second, but I want to talk about some of the outside things. It's not heavy. It's not actually particularly heavy. The problem that I'm having right now with my Ergotron arm is that it sticks out a lot more and the pivot is not enough to hold it. But looking at this, it looks fine, doesn't it? That's because I chucked a couple of screws in between the pivot joint that allows this to sit pretty flat. So until Ergotron actually comes out with a very heavy duty pivot, then that's my solution. It's very temporary and it's not really going to damage anything, but it just means I can't adjust it further than this unless I get thicker screws, for example. Now the resolution is huge. It's nearly 8K, but it's not quite. It's supposed to be two 32-inch 4K monitors, but it's just a couple of thousand shy of 8K in total, which is actually a good thing because you need a pretty beefy graphics cards to run anything on this. Furthermore, the edges and everything, the build quality seems really good. I don't like the back cover, the plastic little shade thing for the cables. It's very flimsy and it feels like it's gonna break any second. It's on there right now, but doesn't feel like it's actually holding anything back. Now, obviously, the biggest draw card is the size and the resolution and actual refresh rate that this can do. So this can do up to 240 Hertz at 1 ms latency, and it can do up to that nearly 8K resolution. Now, the problem with that is it needs some pretty interesting connectors. The plugs on the back come with an HDMI port at 2.1. The display port is also 2.1, and that one can manage 240 Hertz at the full resolution and with 12-bit color. However, the only card that supports that plug is currently the 7800 series from AMD. So if you don't have that card, you can't really take full advantage of the display port. So you're left with HDMI 2.1. But that's not actually a bad thing. According to the internet and some Korean forums, HDMI 2.1 can actually manage this resolution with this refresh rate and 12-bit color with some compression within the screen and the cable by your NVIDIA card or your AMD card if you want to use HDMI 2.1. Now this is currently held back apparently by the firmware of the monitor and an update for your NVIDIA graphics card. So we'll have to wait, and hopefully by the time I do a full review of this screen, we'll hopefully get that. At the moment, from my main computer, Baldur's Gate 3 right now is running at 120 Hertz with 12-bit color at full resolution. It's gorgeous, it's perfect, and honestly, at these games and the quality I want to play with, without DLSS, I wouldn't be able to go over 60 frames. So the fact that DLSS is on and it's full resolution and it's running at 120 Hertz, that's just the benefit of using an NVIDIA card. So I'm not too worried about not being able to support DisplayPort 2.1. Now, I also have a MacBook right here, and I wanted to share with you, and people are asking, can you plug in a MacBook into this screen? And you can absolutely do it. The resolution is only 5440 by 1440 at 120 Hertz, and there has to be an update to Mac to support it, or you put in a custom resolution. But to get it to work, you need a DisplayPort to USB-C plug, and I'll put the links below, but it's the same cable I used with my G9 49-inch, and it works perfectly fine. Voila. Even though it's connected to the DisplayPort, it works really well. I find this resolution perfectly fine for Mac. It's beautiful colors. There's no issues like with my G9 where the screen would flicker sometimes, it would bounce around when there's a video playing. This one has been working amazingly well. I use the MacBook for work, and so this screen is perfect for it. Coming from the G9 49-inch, this doesn't feel that much bigger, but I've had a few people look at it and they say it's massive. At the end of the day, it's your preference, but I love this size, and I don't know if I can go bigger. I could always go bigger than the 49-inch G9, but I'm kind of happy with this. I can't push it that far back anymore. My desk is kind of reaching its limit, so this is probably as far as I can go. The Ergotron arm isn't even able to bend further just because of its own limitations. So right now, I'm limited by the technology of my time, and so I leave you with this. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe and stay tuned for the full review of this incredible monitor. And so far, I'm very, very impressed. And I don't think if you're making a decision based on your DisplayPort capabilities, don't let that be the cause of not picking up this monitor. As you can see, you can use it for work with a MacBook M1, and of course you can play games on it to the limit of 120 Hz. So think of it as a 120 Hz monitor for now. Friends, thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you all in another one. Bye!